Hi, everyone, and welcome to this CPE and CE webcast, Staying Ahead of 1099 and W-9 Compliance in Changing Times. Many accounting firms only focus on 1099 filing requirements in January, but with increasing IRS enforcement and certainly with sweeping changes like the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, firms need a year-round strategy. In this webinar, we'll explain how to create one. This 50-minute CPE and CE session is brought to you by CPAPracticeAdvisor.com and Avalara. You can find them at avalara.com. Avalara makes several technology solutions for automating business taxes and processes, including advanced sales, use, and VAT tax and compliance platforms powered by AI. For more than 2 decades, Avalara has developed one of the most expansive libraries of tax content and integrations in the industry. I'm Isaac O'Bannon, Managing Editor of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. I've worked with technology, CPAs, and tax professionals for more than 25 years. CPA Practice Advisor was founded in 1991 and provides digital, print, video, podcasts, and other resources for tax and accounting professionals. Before we get started, let me explain how you can earn CPE or CE credit on this webcast. The webcast event will last 50 minutes and qualifies for 1 credit of CPE or CE in the field of business management and organization or taxation. If you want to claim CPE credit, you must stay with us for the entire 50 minutes. During the webcast, we will also display 4 polling questions. In each poll, you need to record an answer. This is our verification for NASBA that you are still watching the webcast. If you are watching for IRS CE credit, and if you didn't enter your PIN during registration, you can enter that into the Ask a Question box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll ensure it is processed. After the event, you'll be presented with a post-event survey evaluation form. Your CPE certificate will be sent to the email address you used to register. And now we're ready to begin. Today, I'm joined by Gordon Walsh and Joselle Sorrenpa. Gordon is the 1099 Solution Consultant at Avalara, also known as the 1099 Guy, and Joselle is on the Product Sales Leadership Team at Avalara. Hi, Gordon and Joselle. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? And then let's get to the issues that professionals right now are facing with 1099 and W-9 compliance.
Yes, hello and welcome, CPA Practice Advisor members and attendees. We've been looking forward to this discussion with you and how to stay ahead of 1099 W-9 compliance amid changing times. I'm Joselle Sorrenpa. I represent Avalara and 1099 enthusiasts all over North America. It is one of my favorite topics to talk about really at any time of the year. I'm based in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota.
You're in Minneapolis, Minnesota?
Indeed.
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What a coincidence. That joke never gets old to us, but please note, we did not know each other whatsoever prior to working together here at Avalara. I'm Gordon Walsh, and I am the 1099 guy at Avalara. I find 1099s interesting, even if it's not January. I still want to talk about it. So spent a long time in global vendor and contractor process management consulting, and have a decade of high school teaching in my resume. So excited to be here to do some education and talk about this glorious world of 1099 and W-9.
Great. And here is a brief snapshot of our 60 minutes together. We'll cover the known and forgotten workflows of 1099 compliance. We'll talk about the W-9 collection process, the requirements for IRS states and individuals. We'll overview some of the highlights or lowlights, debatable, from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and what that means for you. For your planning needs, we will also share a handy guide. It's actually a checklist for 2025 with due dates and suggestions. And we will take you then on a quick tour of our products, the Avalara 1099 and W-9 product. And please, please, please feel free to enter any of your questions into the Q&A, and we can answer them as we go, and we'll be sure to cover some more in-depth questions as well, and we'll probably save some Q&A portion for all the way at the end as well. And throughout the webinar, we will have a series of 4 different poll questions, and the first one is happening right now. Looks like we're getting...
I had myself on mute. I apologize. So yeah, the first survey question was, how many 1099s does your firm typically e-file with the IRS each year? And you see several options there: less than 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, or more than 1,000.
We're seeing quite a few numbers pop up in that mid-range. Looks like most of the respondents are in that B category, 10 to 100. About half of you are there. Keep filling this out. Is there an expiration time on the poll survey? No, we can keep filling in it. Okay, great. 45 seconds. Awesome.
Well, and of course,
interesting.
Go ahead.
To say just some interesting numbers. Looks like that mid B and C is where the majority of our people in this webinar are. That 10 to 1,000. I am seeing a number of the less than 10 and seeing some in the more than 1,000 as well, but kind of in the mid range across the board.
And I think what you'll find is that no matter how many 1099s you're doing, whether it's less than 10 or more than 10,000, some of you out there, it follows a very similar process. Now, the volumes can change, the complexity can change, but the process is, by and large, pretty similar. So this is the workflow that you're probably the most familiar with. We call this the known workflow. This is the 1099 process as we've come to know it and understand it. This really starts at the form creation place. This is where you are determining, will my client, if your clients are determining, will this vendor meet the creation requirements for 1099, the different thresholds. We also have 1042S on here. That's just the non-US equivalent to the 1099. We can talk about that in the Q&A if you guys would like. And from here, it's conducting research on all of the things from the Fed to the state, any specific form types, any changes. We'll have more to come on the specific changes that are coming up that are really exciting to talk about. From there, you're transposing information or data from a W-9 or some sort of a form capture onto a 1099 or the 1042S. From there, you are filing this with the IRS, and each state where you think you have requirements in, one at a time through their different websites. And then you're printing and mailing oftentimes these forms and ensuring that they are in the IRS compliant envelopes and all of the fun stuff that goes in with physical printing and mailing, including stamps and licking envelopes and all the other things, and getting those out to recipients by the due dates. And then the feedback loop. So B notices, the penalty notices, and then the abatement process can begin. Now, this one is one we're very familiar with. You might have a few more steps in here. You might only handle a couple of steps that are on this side of the process. But there's also the other side, the forgotten workflow, the neglected, the decentralized, the disparate, all of the things that happen long before the 1099 process really even begins. And this is typically at vendor or contractor onboarding, where your clients are collecting those W-9s, or you're doing that on their behalf, probably manually or in a myriad of different ways. And you're validating for readability, for completeness of the forms, ensuring all those gray boxes are completed and matched up and legible. You're probably conducting some sort of validation at that point, whether that's TIN matching through the IRS website or other services. And if you catch any errors, you're requesting new data and starting all the way back again at zero. And you're probably storing these, or your clients are storing these in a designated location. Hopefully it's somewhere secure, and this should be for your vendors that eventually become 1099able and easy to decipher which is which. You're making sure you're keeping track of that. They meet all the thresholds. And then we began right where we began this whole story, in the middle of the process. And that's the forgotten and known and the many components of the 1099 compliance process.
However, those things, as that last slide kind of depicted, really the beginning of 1099 shouldn't just be start pulling numbers and start doing things in January. 1099 actually begins with the W-9, right? As I like to say it, the first few steps of doing a 1099 are the W-9. And that makes hopefully makes sense, because pretty much every data field on a W-9 directly goes on to a 1099. All we do is pull a number from our AP or ERP software of how much total payments were made, and we plop that on there, and now we've got our 1099. So we want to talk a little bit about the W-9 side of things and the true relationship between W-9s and 1099s, right? And so there's a lot of reasons here between W-9 and 1099 from a historical purpose as to why is there kind of room here for us to keep them separated. Well, first off is the timing of things, right? W-9s are typically seen as at the point of onboarding task, something that we do right when we onboard, whereas 1099s are just that once a year thing that happens in January. And so because those timings are different, it's easy to disconnect them, right? Secondly, historically, as these things have developed, well, W-9 is seen as a procurement type task, part of onboarding, whereas 1099s are usually seen as an accounting function. And so over time, it's just further and further moved into different directions, where now a lot of the businesses we talk to actually have different groups of people that handle those. So it's not just kind of the function of the collection versus the filing, but it's also which department, who handles those things. And again, because when you got two different departments involved, it can create a very separate, relationship, right? Also bear in mind that, when we talk about vendor relationships, so people who are going to receive a 1099, a lot of that work or the function of why you issued a 1099 is very transactional in nature. It could be very one-off. And so that motivation to continue and push to drive to say, hey, let's connect the dots, let's have a formal ongoing system, may be tough to kind of get yourself, up and moving on that. And also when we look at kind of legacy systems, accounting systems, a lot of accounting software isn't necessarily meant for vendor onboarding. It's meant for bookkeeping. It's meant for keeping track of some of those transactions of payment. And so the onboarding aspect isn't as crucial in those systems. And then this one I think is very, very interesting. Our last one, but a very interesting thought is that the IRS does give us a whole bunch of rules and mandates, right? You have to have W-9s on all of these different non-employees that you make payment to, and they should be accurate so that you can then use that to discern who from that vendor list or W-9 list, so we whittle down, receives a 1099, and that you need to file 1099s. And they tell you when, but they don't necessarily dictate how. There is no mandate that says, how do you have to collect a W-9? How do you have to? Now, again, I know that I'm speaking in generality, right? The last couple of years, we've changed some of the rules depending on your total volume of 1099s being filed. You now have to e-file. But again, what software do you use? Do you go directly to Fire or Iris? Do you, if you have less than 10, do you e-file or do you mail them in, right? How do you get your recipient copies out? All of these things aren't necessarily mandated. And so because we haven't been told here's how you have to do it, it creates a lot of open to interpretation. And again, there leads to that disconnect between W-9 and 1099, right? So a lot of kind of historical background and rationale of why don't we necessarily keep them connected. Now, if we don't pay attention to those, again, what I just referenced as the first few steps of doing a 1099, collecting a W-9 accurately, a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things can go wrong. You know, first and foremost, those vendor records, they may lack the TIN numbers. They may have issues. And once we have if a W-9 is collected with bad info on it, stands to reason the 1099 is then going to be filed with bad info on it. And the IRS can't collect their tax money. They're not happy about that. They're going to come looking why and what's next, right? Maybe we have duplications. If we don't have the W-9s kind of in an organized and centralized place, secure place, then it might be one of those things that when an update is made or something, if we have multiple people within departments managing this, or a disconnect, like we said, in the world of accounting, a lot of owners collecting W-9s, but then forwarding that information back over to their accounting professionals to be handling the year-end filing. That can lead to some of those things being incorrect or duplicated across the W-9 side of things. And if we don't have a W-9 for every non-employee we pay, how would we actually know who we need to issue a 1099 for? There's only one official document that would show me as a business who of the different companies or individuals I'm working with is supposed to get a 1099, and that's a W-9. So having a W-9, having process in place to be collecting that for everybody is crucial. And it's also tough because, if we don't have that W-9 audit trail, we don't necessarily have we don't have the proof in the pudding, as it were, as to why we did or didn't send out 1099s, right? Again, that's our documentation for who should be receiving a 1099. And it's one of those things that we do hear from a lot of the businesses that we work with, that it becomes this end of year task where, as we start kind of putting the numbers together, looking back at our accounting software or ERP and looking at the transactions, saying, oh, we did make payment, we should be probably issuing a 1099, but we created that vendor record in our systems using their invoice, using something else they sent us, using a website instead of using the W-9. So we don't actually know what their tax ID number is, or we don't know that is the IRS legal information versus DBA information. And so now it's December or January, and when we're all busy trying to wrap up the calendar year, trying to start the new one right, we're busy with personal things as well, as the turn of the year is a very busy time. We're scrambling to try to figure out, how do we get this W-9? We're going crazy, and that potentially creates tension or issue with our vendors as well, right? So W-9 is so crucial to 1099. It's just, it is the time now to connect the dots, to bring it all back together. I think next we're going to throw it back to Isaac here for our second poll question.
Okay, I am here this time. The second poll question for CPE and CE credit is, does your firm currently offer W-2? You know what? I just lost that question. This is going smoothly.
Do you currently offer W-9 and W-8 collection services to your clients?
Services to your clients, yes. Thank you.
All good.
And we really did. We really only talked about W-9 in that, for those of you who are working with your international clients, obviously the W-8 maybe more crucial to collecting the W-8 ahead of time and accurately, because how do you know how much to withhold if you don't have a W-8? Talking about those treaty rates and withholding rates, you may be paying a vendor or somebody and internationally and not withholding that money. And so now we're all of a sudden stuck in that spot of, what do I do? How do I make up that amount of money that is now owed for taxes?
Okay.
Got a lot of our answers rolling in here.
Few seconds left on it. Simple yes, no. And if you don't know, that's okay. That's okay. Or if that's not in your purview, that's fine too. Okay, we will keep it moving. So how do you actually manage all of this? For us, from our perspective, because we are, well, first and foremost, we are 1099 enthusiasts. Secondly, we are technologists. And in our perspective, the solution here is automation. And this is connecting and managing your system so that you can manage the entirety of the process, from that forgotten front end process for 33% of you, that's your W-8s. For 66% of you, that's your W-9s. Or 100% of you, that's your W-9s. The forgotten front end of the process, and then all year round with onboarding to enable a smoother reporting season in January. And the Avalara 1099 W-9 solution, we like to say we're purpose-built specifically for efficiency. So it's really no surprise that according to a recent survey from February of this past year, that 85% of Avalara subscribers say that this product saves them time. And there's really 3 areas where we've seen the biggest savings for our customers. The first one is real-time W-9 collection and validation from vendors. And this will help to further automate through options like embedding, through APIs. And that step just kind of removes some of the manual processes in the whole W-9 collection and validation and brings it into a single vendor portal that's part of your onboarding workflow. And the second is TIN matching. So at the time of vendor onboarding, from a proactive perspective, you're getting that TIN match and that validation up front. And then the APIs, as I mentioned, to connect the systems together. So if you're accustomed to this like upload, download, data mapping, scrubbing, manipulation of data, APIs will probably blow your mind, because it's this type of automation really just is set it and forget it, enabling your systems to connect seamlessly, talk to each other, and exchange data in a secure fashion without requiring you to move data physically between multiple systems. And the final step in the 1099 compliance is typically the outputs. And there's could be more that is in there depending on what your process is, but generally the outputs, filing to the IRS, the states, and sending forms to recipients before the deadlines. But we know that it is more than just the transmittal, right, Gordon?
It is so much more. Let's start with that federal side, right? Those requirements are a moving target. Mm-hmm. And there's so many pieces to this, right? And holy cow, here we are in September of 2025, and man, are we getting another year of what's going to happen here before January. We're not too far off. We're finishing out third quarter, and who knows, right? So a lot of examples on the screen, right? In 2020, the introduction of the 1099 NEC. Which today I think is, most people are caught up on, and it's so common, but it was havoc if you were doing, working with 1099s back in 2020. We've got starting in tax year 23. So 2 years ago, we had the move to e-filing. If you had 10 or more information returns, so your W-2s, your 1099s combined, you had to e-file. In 24, starting this year, we've got the 1099 DA, the digital asset for those crypto, Bitcoin, all of the digital assets transactions. And that's still, there's still questions around that. The draft is out, but final, what's going to happen on a final standpoint, that was out there, right? So, and then lastly, the 1099K is another great example that has been all over. We thought we knew the end of the story. We thought it was moving from that $20,000 and 200 transactions, and then it was going to move down and down to the $5,000 and then $2,500 and the $600. But now the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is changing all of that again, moving back to the 20,000, the 200. There's so much going on. And we'll make a slight joke here that this is the end of the story, right? What we've got here, there's nothing new has happened recently. We're not worried about anything else. We don't have questions about, vehicle interest loan or thresholds for a 1099 miscellaneous or NEC. None of that is stuff we need to worry about, right? We're going to talk more on that here in a few minutes. So for those of you still wondering what's going on with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that is coming here soon. We will get to that. But the federal changes are constant target that we have to keep up with. How about the states? I can't tell you. Joselle and I talk to thousands of businesses a year, thousands of businesses every year. And it is very common for our clients to come in and say, we have to file with a state? What is that? What are we talking about? And it really depends, but every state has different rules, has different thresholds. They may have different filing timelines, and it may change based on which type of 1099 it is and what's going on. We've just got a couple examples up on the screen from the North Carolina 1099 having to also file an annual reconciliation form of the NC3, or Delaware, which has different filing deadlines from what we're used to, or New Jersey also having those things, those deadlines differently. It is kind of a wild ride to keep up with each and every state and know what you need to do. And so it's a good question to kind of examine and look at is do you know where you need to be filing for each of your clients, all of their different 1099s? And again, you may not know until January, right? If they used a new vendor or contractor for the first time in a state that they've never paid to before, do they maybe need to get a withholding ID in that state? Can they get away without it? Do they, Pennsylvania, need a withholding ID if you have any payroll taxes there, but if you don't, if all you have is 1099s, you don't need a Pennsylvania withholding ID. There's just so many things to keep up with. And then on top of that, we also, know that there's this combined federal state filing program where for certain states, if you file with the IRS, they will file with the state for you on your behalf. But then there's also those group of states that are part of the CFS program, but also require you to do additional filing on top of that. There's those that aren't a part of it. And so how do we know? How do we keep up? So many rules with all the states. And again, we would preach the side of automation and trusting this to experts. And then that last piece that Joselle referenced before, that it's the federal, it's the state, it's the recipients, it's the delivery. It's not just you, right? There's 3 parts of the 1099 cog or machine, and each one's a cog in that machine. There's you as the business. There's the IRS and the states, right? The government collecting the taxes. And there's the actual recipient, who's getting this 1099, who did the work, right? And so we've got all kinds of things from I moved and did I update you, or I reincorporated as a business and did I update you with new data? I changed my legal name, I changed my tax ID number. I didn't even know what a W-9 was until it just was brought to my attention, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe it's as much of a joke as we make about it. It happens every day. I've got terrible handwriting. I was a high school social studies teacher for over a decade. I have absolutely terrible handwriting on a board, on a piece of paper, no matter where I go. And so, if I fill out a W-9 on paper, you're going to have some trouble reading that, right? So we've got these recipients that all have their kind of side of this as well, and trying to keep up with those things. So do we know who needs a 1099, who doesn't, based on tax classification, based on what's on those forms? And do we also, another step of this, do we know who's consented to e-delivery? Do we have to mail these? Mail causes trouble, right? If we don't have to mail, we don't have to worry about address. Addresses don't have to be right. We don't have to worry about return to sender, or what I like to refer to as the yellow stickers of death, right? Those return to sender stickers that get put on there. If we can e-deliver because we've gained the required consent, then we can email, and life just got a lot easier. So a lot of different moving pieces of how do we keep up, who do we need to keep up with, and what are the right answers. And it's not just do a 1099, but all of the rules associated.
We know there is no prize for doing tax compliance correctly, and disregarding or being unaware of the rules is a liability, which you all know, because that's why you're here today, to learn and how to do these things correctly, and what are the current legislations, what are the updates, what are the rules. That's why you're all here. And this is why, as Gordon mentioned, this is why having an automated solution that just tracks all the compliance updates for you is critical to your success, because as we just covered, it's a lot to keep track of. So the Avalara 1099 and W-9 solution is going to help with achieving compliance in really 3 different types of ways, and this is outputs for your clients. The first one's at the federal level with the classification types on your 1099able vendors, all the thresholds and information. The state level for the various requirements. There were, I don't even know how many references we just made to different states and all their wacky requirements, but those change, and they change all the time. And each state makes their determination on 1 foot in CFS, 1 foot out, direct state, no state, whatever program or bucket they fall into, the Avalara 1099 W-9 tool will help you with that. And at the individual level for your clients' recipients by capturing the IRS approved language for consent for e-delivery and other things that just keep you in compliance and maintain that audit trail for you. Next up, we have poll question number 3 of 4.
Hey, and yes, this is poll question number 3. Have you been paying close attention to recent legislation as it pertains to 1099 reporting? And your options are yes or no. And of course, that can relate to both state and federal legislation.
Yes. All right.
And as we wait for the results, so here we go.
We've got a pretty good split here. It looks like 2/3 say yes. Close attention, I know, that might seem a little arbitrary, but 2/3 say yes. 1/3 says no. That's okay. It's still pretty early in the filing year, and you're all here today. So that means that, yes, you are paying close attention, all of you. So thank you for being here, and thank you for learning along with us. So shall we talk about the elephant in the room that Gordon alluded to, that one big, beautiful elephant, the OBBBA? There are really 3 highlights from that bill that we're prepared to share with you today. The updates to the transmittal technology process, FIRE to IRS. I saw a question already pop up about that in the chat, so please keep your questions coming. The second one is a new form on vehicle loan interest. And the third are threshold changes on the 1099 miscellaneous, the NEC, and the K. So first up, actually, maybe let's do this. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yep, this way. So first up, we will talk about what you need to know about the transmittal technology process, the FIRE system that we've all known and loved, despite its quirks, since what, the late 80s, mid 80s?
Loved.
It loved. Maybe not.
Maybe until recently, making it so difficult to own and maintain a TCC code this last year or two.
Is it the FIRE system's fault, or is it the process fault? Who knows? Who knows who's to blame?
Who knows?
But it's usurped by its younger sibling, Iris. She's the new replacement that uses XML-based architecture. You'll need to prepare to make this switch come January 2027. Gordon, what are your thoughts on this big change?
I think that it's. I hope that everybody has things in place. I think it's yet to be seen, right? And that's the scary thing. Is it going to be as hard to maintain, your login and your contact? And hopefully, because it's moving to a more modern technology, and it will be easier, and it will be less work to keep track of who's who in the zoo, and when you need to make corrections, and the federal file, the file name versus just the form and all of that. But it's one of those things that I think we'll know a lot more after this filing season, once everybody's really hopefully caught their breath and can dig in.
That's our hope. Our hope is that technology, as technologists and 1099 enthusiasts, it's our hope that the IRS is also technology first, 1099 enthusiasts that are here to support and make this process easier for all of us. The next one is there's a new form that's mentioned in the Act, and this is for vehicle loan interest. Now, the IRS hasn't released the official name yet, but unofficially, we've been referring to this as the 1098V.
This is one we'd all love to have an answer to. It is I mean, there's millions and millions of vehicle interest loan or vehicle loans out there that have interests that need to be, that are potentially reportable. And so, we're waiting still for the form. We've been told it should be reported. It's going to be a form like the 1098. And hopefully that is something that is just, disseminated soon so that we all know what we're doing and can handle that. And all those loan companies are able to get their data together. But this is an interesting one. This is, changing some thresholds to have fewer things reported in some places, and then in other places, adding more reporting requirement.
This is why it's highlights and lowlights. It depends on perspective. Is this good or bad? So the next one we have is, oh boy, the tumultuousness of the 1099K continues. It has been a saga indeed. Many of you have been around since the inception of the 1099K, and you've probably been like Gordon and I, where we've been following this thing for years, and it has been a fun ride. So the new act motions to repeal the existing legislation and then reinstates the old thresholds of at least 20,000 in payments and over 200 transactions. That's our knowledge and information as of right now, September 9th, today. And the miscellaneous and NEC thresholds will be changing as well. So you'll need to file fewer of them, which on the one hand is less work, but that will also mean, if you're doing this on behalf of your clients, you may be getting less revenue. So does your current workflow support and allow you to, modulate this for your customers? And, what might need to change in order for your value proposition to adapt? So consider some of those questions as you prepare. This actually, a question did come in the chat on specifically a miscellaneous and NEC. So hopefully we answered that question for you. Yes, it'll increase to 2,000, and for 2027 and beyond, the threshold will adjust for inflation. So TBD on 2027. I know we're all eager to get ahead of it, but that's where we're at. September 9th, 2027.
I think it'll be add this to your list of, if you do payroll as well. Yeah. Add this to your list of things that you have to keep up with on an annual basis with payroll, right? Is like the Social Security maxes and FICA maxes and things like that, that you just need to, keep track of the ever-changing thresholds of those numbers so that, you can plan accordingly for the totals of the year. But Giselle, it's such a good point, right? That this is something we obviously are in business because of this. We just saw that a vast majority of the accountants on this call and people on this call are generating revenue with their business through 1099. So it's something to really contemplate right now, and think back to, well, what did my filing look like last year? It may not be an easy thing to look at, but to have that ability to do some reporting or some data, some research on how many forms did I file under those limits, and what will that mean to my business going forward? Do I have a value proposition? Have I kind of built out what is the ROI I give to my clients for the services I provide? If it's just kind of file your 1099s, or is it, here's some other pieces of the puzzle that we provide you so that you can generate, this doesn't impact your bottom line in a negative way.
Exciting times. We'll stay close on the big, beautiful elephant in the room and keep putting out forth as much information as we encounter.
And hopefully there are updates to be made very soon. Yes. That would be our hope and our goal, because again, we're waiting on bated breath. As a 1099 guy and enthusiast, this is all we do, and when we don't have the answers, it's a little nerve-wracking. So, yes. Pulling this all together, how do we sum this up? This end-to-end solution? Well, we showed you this before, the reality of 1099 compliance. Obviously now we're looking at it vertically instead of horizontally, but there's a lot of steps and it's kind of all over the place. And some steps are related to doing these each and every day, vendor onboarding, collecting the W-9, TIN matching, grabbing consent to e-deliver, getting these things done, at the point of business with your 1099 recipients. And then part of it is that January end of year and January kind of round things out to be able to do this. And, as we talk about this and we look at it, that's one of the things that we think has been missing, or that we look at and say, why else is W-9 and 1099 disconnected? Well, maybe there's never been a tool to be able to do that at that scale, right? As technology gets better, so does the ability to make more happen in our world. And so at Avalara, we have a 1099 and W-9 combined tool where we simply can help to electronically gather a W-9, validate TIN information, and centrally standardize and store that information so that everything is secure. You're not worried about, where is my client's data at, and then seamlessly transition that into being able to create a 1099, e-file with the IRS, TIN match again, address validate again, e-deliver or physical mail, take care of all the state filing automatically for you, and then give you complete feedback so that you know when things have been delivered, when they've had rejections or problems, and be able to simply correct and make those amendments live and in real time. And even more exciting is, Giselle referenced early in our call, but we also have APIs available now. And this is so great. If you don't know API, think of it as a data bridge, an ability to connect one system to another system in the background, right? And so what does this mean? It means time savings. It means more automation, so less data entry error. It means not having to duplicate tasks. This means in real terms, what we look at, collect a W-9 and have it TIN matched with electronic delivery consent given in Avalara, and push that data via API directly into an accounting software or an ERP to create that vendor or contractor record for approval. Also knowing that the tax ID number matched the IRS database, so that you can feel good about making payments for any work done, make payments throughout the year, and then again, using API, click a button within that AP or ERP software to push those total numbers to create the 1099 NEC, that miscellaneous. Maybe it's a div, it's an int, it's a 1042S. Maybe we've got some Canada going on, so we've got the T4A, whatever the case is, creating those forms, filing, and then again, full status. When did it get accepted by the IRS and the state? What else is going on? All of that data being pushed via API right back to another system, so you don't have to manage multiple platforms. No more need to look at multiple platforms, no more need to engage directly with the IRS. Everything can be automated for you. So really, really exciting to be able to connect things like that.
All right, get your screenshot. I don't even know how to do a screenshot on a MacBook, but get your screenshot snippet tool ready. This is the 1099 checklist for tax year 2025. And there's a couple updates on here. The filing deadlines here for Form 1042S, just note that is different from last year just because of it falling on a weekend. So take a look at this. This might help you prepare. It might just be a refresher for you if you've been, been in the 1099 world for long enough and you've got your processes down, or you might learn something new. So I think we will share this material, but if not, grab it on your phone or take a screenshot of this to help manage your checklist and your calendar and your workflows for this year, because it looks like there's a lot on here. And there's a couple asterisks, which are, if you are already a client of Avalara 1099 and W-9, if you're already using our tool for this, or if you are thinking about it for this upcoming year, there's a lot of steps you can just skip. We're going to take a look at some of the automation pieces and some of those ways that we streamline a few of these tasks in a demonstration. So we're going to take you through a product walkthrough. Let's see. Right here. Let's take a closer look.
Great. And we'll be quick and to the point on this, but I want as a lot of questions are coming in about maintaining TCC codes or getting ready for Iris. A lot of these things are concerns that don't have to be concerns. Using a software like Avalara, a system like this will manage all of the W-9, W-8 collection. It will manage the TIN validations. It will manage the security and the storage and manage all the filing. And you never have to own a TCC code. You never have to go to the IRS sites. We do everything for you. So in our system, you can have as many of your clients as you want. You could have, thousands of clients, and you can have as many users in the system as you want. And that way, any accountant in the staff accountants, interns, partners, anybody can get into the system if they have access. And you can also create permission levels so they only see the clients, the groups, or the size of the tool that you want. So really can own the organization. But in our system, gathering a W-9 is so simple. We've made it as easy as clicking on what type of form you want to collect, typing in a vendor's name and their email address, and clicking send. That automates out a very basic and easy email that is customized with the information for your client with a link to be able to simply have that vendor fill out their W-9. And yep, you heard me say it correctly, fill out. I love this because it's not a PDF upload, it's a smart form. Never will you have to look at a handwritten W-9 again and decipher, is that a 7 or a 9? I think it's an H. Not really sure that there are letters in tax ID numbers. Never will you have to get that box 3 is not checked with tax entity classification, or it's checked with 2 boxes, or maybe they checked that they're an LLC but forgot to write SC or P on the line. None of those issues, because our form will format as it goes. It collects all of the typical information, including email, including validating that the tax ID number is only 9 digits and only a social security number or an EIN, not both. But then we take it to the next level where we do gather, as a required question, the consent to electronically deliver the 1099s, that our system can do all of the emails for you. And that way you can come in at the end of January and simply see the short list of who has not consented or has not received their 1099 and mail the rest. We will gather a live signature. This entire form is mobile friendly, so it can be done on a touch screen. And then the best part, when that vendor clicks sign and continue, it's going to do a live TIN match with the IRS. So now those clients, before they've ever even made payment and have opened themselves to liability for taxes, they can make sure that they have exact matching data so that they don't have to get B notices. We're going to return those results real time to that vendor. So if it matches, they'll know that. They can download it and move on. But more importantly, if it doesn't match, if we let them know that that tax ID and name do not match, we ask them to revise their form so that they can come straight back to this form, revise anything that's wrong, and then resubmit it up to 3 times to get it live TIN matched. So now in our side of the system, we're able to track everything from who we sent requests to but haven't filled it out, to those who have filled it out, knowing whether we've got a TIN match or rejection, knowing what type of 1099 or what type of tax classification they are and whether a 1099 needs to be issued. And then, as I said, downloadable, IRS auditable PDFs of every single download or every single W-9 or W-8 created. And then the best part, when we come to year end in January, we simply can transfer that already TIN matched W-9 data straight into the 1099 engine. So now, again, all of our clients show up here, and we simply can click into the client to see all of these vendors already are in the system. All you need to do is upload the numbers of how much did you pay them, which can be done via a basic CSV import or a couple systems that we have some integrations to pull data in. Really, really helpful in our system. We help you to audit all forms so that none of your forms will be allowed to be filed if they're going to be rejected. Things like having over 40 characters in the legal name line, we call that out so that you don't get stuck getting a rejection because the legal name was too long. And we don't make you force you to file everything all at once. You can file just the forms that are ready today and file the rest tomorrow. We also give our clients the ability to pick the date that they want to file. That way, if they come in here on, say, the 9th, they can push this out 2 weeks to the 23rd, email their forms to the recipients today, and get address verification and TIN match results within 24 hours. That way, if they have anything to fix before, they can fix it before it's been filed. Now we're not having to do an official correction. We're just fixing it in the system before it was filed. And once everything has been filed, we give our clients complete control to see when things were mailed, delivered to physical addresses, emailed, consented, bounced emails, sent to you, accepted or rejected by the IRS and the states. And on top of all that, we let our clients do all of the corrections, official corrections to the IRS that they need for free. So a full end-to-end system that allows you that access to W-9 and 1099 in one place, reducing the amount of things that have to be kind of typed into all these different places, the errors that can come from it, TIN matching at the start, and giving you that kind of full confidence that, hey, we're not going to get the B notices. We don't have tax liability. We're going to be able to keep track of all this and store this data for years to come. And so, again, end to end. And I think with that, we're on to our last poll question, Isaac.
The finale.
I think we are. And this is number 4. Would you like to learn more from an Avalara W-9 and 1099 subject matter expert? Yes or no? I've got to say, guys, that the automation really looks like it could save a lot of time for practices, as well as ensuring data integrity and accuracy.
Thank you. We agree, and I'm glad you see that. And it is. We have a lot of accounting firms that use this tool and love its automation and its ability to parse data and just make the job a lot easier on behalf of your clients. So yeah, we'd love to conduct a customized demonstration for anybody on the call today. Yeah, if you answer yes to that question, we'd be happy to set that up. If you want to get back with me and Gordon again for some personalized attention, we certainly can do that. We'll give you guys a few more seconds on that poll. And up next, we actually have the Q&A portion. So I did get quite a few questions come in that were pretty interesting. I'm going to just, real quick, I'm just going to ask one on the demo since we just came off of it. Gordon, if that's okay with you. Is there any way to send a link via text message? And I mean, I assume that is for a W-9 request.
Everything that we do in our system is based on email. What I didn't show in this, again, kind of keeping our eye on the time, is related to, we do have the APIs to embed our W-9 collection tool or W-8 collection tool directly into an existing website. So if you have a portal where you can send people to grab that stuff, it can be white labeled so that it doesn't say Avalara on it anywhere. It embeds directly into your site. So you could send a link out to people, to a website of your own via text message or somewhere, but our system is going to be based on email.
Okay. There are, let's see, I've got another question regarding the demonstration, maybe just best practice. We can kind of tie in both. So what happens when a TIN number is rejected because the TIN is invalid and does not have a real one? I imagine that is the recipient or the person you're matching does not have a real one.
Yeah. Our system, again, from a W-9 perspective, we're just going to give you the information, let you know it was rejected. It just, the IRS told us it doesn't match. From a 1099 perspective, same thing. We'll give you that information. Our tool won't block things, right? The old adage, probably better to file on time with wrong info than it is to file late and potentially get, late fees and intentional disregard fees placed on you. So anything in our system that is a rejection is really just going to give you that information, and how you follow up or what you do with that. It's, you've got the information. Information is power, and then you decide what to do next.
All right. So beyond just the program, the demo, a few people are asking about cost and price. Generally, it's very simple. We just look at 2 line items. how many forms do you process through the tool, and then would you like to print and mail through us? And we can come up with a quote for you if you responded yes to that question, or you can reach out to Gordon and myself, and we can set up a time or just understand what your landscape looks like and provide a quote that way. We really don't gatekeep on our prices. It's pretty straightforward and simple. I just can't answer everyone's that came in all at once. The other question that we had, and I think this might be the final question that we do have time for, which is the threshold changes on the MISC, the NEC. I think I covered the K pretty well. I didn't see any questions come on about the K, or the vehicle loan one, because that's kind of a rare one, unusual one anyway. But Gordon, do you want to just tidy up the 1099 miscellaneous NEC, what that means for tax year 2025, 2026, and beyond?
Yes. So based on the most current understanding, because the bill did leave things a little open, the 1099 NEC and miscellaneous will stay at $600 threshold this year for tax year 25. It will then jump up and go to the $2,000 threshold for tax year 26. So the filing done in January of 27. And then going from 27 and beyond, it will be adjusted for inflation. So we may see that number change as we go. And again, I think Joselle hit it nail on the head. The 1099K has been repealed, that drop in threshold. So we're just back as of right now, this year, 2025, to the $20,000 and 200 transaction threshold.
It is really interesting to think about the tax timeline that we've been in, how we're kind of taking a step back into the past. We're looking ahead towards the future. The current state seems a little uncertain at times. Understood. It's a fun and confusing time in the world of 1099s. I hope you all learned something from our discussion today. More to come out on all things related to the Big Beautiful Act and what that means for you. If you follow us, Avalara, 1099, and W-9, or work with us, we can just deploy all those changes into the tool, so you don't even have to think about it. Isaac, I know you had some wrap up for us and some instruction for our attendees, but I just want to say thank you to all of you who joined us today. We look forward to having any continued discussions with you all.
Okay, thank you, Gordon and Joselle. I wanted to note to our attendees that the slides are available for download. If you want that checklist, they're under the Event Resource tab on the left side of your screen. We hope everyone enjoyed this webinar. You can also find more upcoming webcasts for CPE under the Resources tab of our website at cpapracticeadvisor.com. As a reminder, you'll receive your CPE certificate in the mail in your email inbox later this afternoon. The email that you used to register. You will now be presented with a post-event survey for this event. Filling out the form is optional. However, we hope you'll share feedback with us so we can continue to improve our webinar series. Also, if you need additional CPE before the end of the year, you should sign up for Ensuring Success, spelled just like it sounds, ensuringsuccess.com, where you can earn up to 7 hours, 2 days in a row, so a total of 14 hours if you want them, or stay for only the ones you want. That's coming up in December. It's a totally online live CPE conference. Once again, thank you for joining, and thank you to Avalara. This event will end now.